Razia Mirza. I'm so excited to be back here as your MC. Thank you. I actually learned to spell MC last year. It's not just 2 letters. It starts with an E. MC. But it's such a privilege to be here. And I gotta tell you that a lot of people have asked. There they come back. There they come back. Woo! That thing makes noise, but we can make noise too, right? We can make noise. Hey, y'all, what does democracy look like? What does democracy look like? What does democracy look like? Yes! And you know what is so beautiful about democracy? Is it looks so beautiful and varied and intersectional. We have people of all ages, of all accessibilities, of all races, of all genders, of all orientations, of all language capacities. This is the Women's March Chicago, but this march, this is for women identifying people, gender non-conforming people, trans people. This is for the men. This is for the allies. This is for the humans. We are feminists. We all are feminists. And you know what? Some people said, well, what happened last year? I say last year we woke up. And what's the purpose of this march? It's to stay woke. Stay woke. And I know a lot of people are like, man, what does Chicago do on a Saturday? Right? Yeah. Here's what I can tell you. On a Saturday, the government shuts down. On a Saturday, women march. When the government shuts down, women still march. And I get it. Part of our purpose. Why do we gather? I think of it like going to the gym. We know it's good for us. We know it's going to make us healthy and stronger. But you know what? We are human beings. We get tired. Part of our purpose here is to gather, to reconnect, to re-energize, to refuel, to be reminded of our purpose and our power. This year is about marching to the polls. This year is about channeling all that beautiful power and putting the power in the polls. All right, y'all. I love you. Oh, it feels so good. I'm going to say I love you, and if you consent, please say I love you back. We're about respect. I love you. Yes! That's another gorgeous word in consent. All right, y'all, let's get this thing started. I'm going to grab a clipboard. You know another beautiful thing about being an MC? A clipboard. Do not underestimate the power of the clipboard. All right. All right, so we have some amazing speakers for you. All right, we're going to be together. We're going to talk. We're going to listen. We're going to hear each other and respect each other. We're going to share our power and our energy in so many different ways. So the first folks I'm going to bring up, we've got some amazing speakers. We've got Tahira Ahmed, the Associate Chaplain and Director of Interfaith Engagement. And we also have Asha Benbeck, who's representing CARE Chicago. CARE Chicago is an organization dedicated to protecting the civil rights of Americans and American Muslims in Chicago. They've got a great message for y'all. And here they come, Tahira and Asha. Give it up.
Greetings of peace, Chicago. In the Muslim tradition, we say, Assalamu alaikum, shalom alaikum, greetings of peace to you all. It is such an honor for me to be here, standing up here with you. I'm honestly in tears backstage. Fawzia cracks me up though. Every few minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. And then 5 seconds later, I'm like, this girl's gonna I'm gonna get a stomach ache. But you know what's amazing? A year later, I was here. A year earlier, I was here. I just landed from touring 11 countries around the world. Couple of hours ago. What I realized is that in every single country, people have asked me, what's going on in America? What's going on in America? And the minute I tell them I'm from Chicago, they say, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Because you know what? In Chicago, if you remember, we don't let tyrants into Chicago. We don't let tyrants into Chicago. I'm gonna begin the speaking portion of this rally with something that grounds me in my own faith. But I want to be respectful because I understand that all of us come from different traditions and philosophies and meaning and purpose in life. So the verses I was asked to recite or chant for you are verses that ground me. They are from what we believe is the Holy Quran, which means that which is to be recited, that which is to be remembered, especially at times of struggle. The verses that I'm going to recite are about justice and peace. Because in the Muslim tradition, we believe that we come from one source and we return to that one source. God is love and light. I want to begin this rally with this concept that we are one. Regardless of where we come from, regardless of all of the difficult tasks that we have before us, it is an arduous task, but we are all one. The chanting takes a little bit of time. I would like to welcome you into it. It is a moment of peace and contemplative practice. And then the few verses after that, which I will recite, say, "O people, we have created you from a male or female, and we have made you into different nations and tribes so that you may get to know one another. And verily the most noble of you are those who are conscientious of each other and of the divine." أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين إن يكن غنيا أو فقيرا فالله أولى بهما فلا تتبعوا الهوى أن تعدلوا وإن تلووا أو تعرضوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. صدق الله العظيم. Power to the people, love and light.
Assalamu alaikum, may peace be upon you. My name is Asha Binbeck, and I am one of 2 communications coordinators at CARE Chicago, an organization dedicated to protecting the civil rights of Americans and American Muslims in Chicago. Wow. I am looking into this crowd, and I see so many powerful women. I see leaders, warriors, protectors, femmes, strong women. The diversity of this group, different origins, different religions, different struggles. It's radiating power. It radiates beauty. A Trump mindset is so dangerous because he wants you to think that the thing that makes us great, the thing that makes us a nation, is the very thing that should divide us. Our different backgrounds should be celebrated. Our race, our gender, our sexual orientations, our religion, whether you were born on this soil or sought refuge here or a future. Being able to come here to celebrate each other and support each other's causes, this is what makes America great. We are all here today, but our work is not done. We must continue coming together. We must continue to resist. We must organize our efforts and support each other. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are or what you look like or who you pray to or who you love. Our need to be civically engaged has never been more important than it is now. You have to vote. You have to speak up. You have to go out seeking change instead of expecting others to do it for you. Be the leader that this community needs. Be the leader you desire to change the world. Women, We are strong. We are powerful. Our power to come together, our power to organize campaigns like the Women's March, like the Me Too campaign. Movements like these are changing the nation. They are shaking the world. But we can do so much more. It takes a collective effort like this one to inspire the next generation. Our future president could be standing in this crowd right now. Do not ever let someone convince you that you aren't worth something because of who you are or because you are a woman. Inspire each other. Fight for each other. Raise each other up. Take a look at the woman next to you. We have been kicked. We have been beaten down. We have been discouraged. But you know what? We are still standing. It's not our hair, not our makeup or our clothes that make us beautiful. We are beautiful because we are able to come together, because we fight the odds, and because we support each other in times of need. No matter who we are or what we believe in, and make movements. Now, more than ever, we must continue to speak out against injustices of our fellow sisters. We must protect each other. No more watching. If you want change, make it. Show everyone just how powerful women truly are. Thank you.
Woo! Yes! Give it up! Yes! God, talk about beautiful human beings. That is what we're celebrating. Whoop it up, Chicago! And I gotta say, I have to appreciate all the work product y'all have done for today. Show me your signs. Yes! Show us your signs. Yes! Resist. I'm reading them. I'm trying to read them. White silence is violence. Take back our nation. Vote 2018. Damn right. We fight. Winter is here. Yes. Ida sent me. Oh, but nevertheless, she persisted. Yes, I see you. We see each other. What a beautiful thing. Y'all, I do want to say one thing real quick. I have a friend who is the director of domestic workers. You may have seen her. She was with one of those amazing celebrities at the Golden Globes. Her name is Ai-jen Poo. She could not be here today. She is in New York marching. But she asked me, she's like, Fazia, if there's one thing you can do in Chicago, please remind everyone that some of the people that we are celebrating and representing and lifting up and creating space for are all the women whose work is undervalued. The nannies, the housekeepers, the caregivers. We see you. Do you see them? We see you and we appreciate you. Thank you for your work. Now, next up is a friend of mine, and she's doing great work. Shannon Lynn Parker. Miss Parker is currently the manager of the Youth Drop-In at the Broadway Youth Center, which focuses on LGBTQ and homeless youth. Please give it up for Shannon. I mean, come on, y'all, give it up for Shannon. Woo!
Thank y'all so much. I'm Shannon Lynn Parker. So, you know what? Just like last year, it is still a good day to be trans. So, one of the things that I just wanted to tell y'all is that I'm really here to tell you that no one is coming to save you from Donald Trump. And the best way you can get out there and actually fight him is to get out to the polls and vote. And as I'm standing here right now, and as I'm looking out across the crowd, warrior spirit Audra Lord stands whispering in my ear, reminding me to tell you all that your silences will not protect you. And that the only thing more frightening than speaking your truth is not speaking at all. So we call into this moment each and every ancestor of affinity who refused to die, who refused to place their lives and freedom into the hands of would-be saviors, men clad in blue suits and red ties, spitting rhetoric of same old, year after year after year. Gentlemen, legislation does not belong in uteruses. And madam, when I have to use the bathroom, I promise you, all I want to do is pee. We will not stand, nor will we fund that madman's nightmare of a wall. Not one red cent. To the dreamers, to the undocumented, know that we stand beside you. Here in this city, Chicago stands ready to defend you. And Jorge Garcia, our love and our thoughts are with you. Bring him back home. Keep your hands off of my body. My talents are not to be negotiated on your casting couch. To the employers who thought you had gotten away, yes, your time is up. For every woman who has had to fend off sexual advances in the workplace, claw her way to the top, fight for equal pay, and beyond, no more. We stand in solidarity with you. Women, there are skills and priorities that only we can bring to government. We need more women in power. Women, please run for public office. Support women who are already in, and most importantly, don't forget the importance of local elections. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast the stone across the waters to create many ripples. Mother Teresa. To the polls, everybody. Thank you.
Get up for Shannon! Yes, keep that enthusiasm, girl. All right, y'all, I have a little bit of a request. I know there are so many beautiful people here. If, for some reason, you do not need a seat and there is no space around you, please be sure to make that seat available for people who require or need the access, who are differently abled than you. So just be conscientious of all of our people in our community. Yeah, whoop it up for that. It's good to see us going all the way back. I see you, Chicago! I see you back there! This is our street, this is our This is our time. All right, next up, we got somebody who's a wonderful human being, the Cook County Commissioner, Bridget Gaynor. Give it up, y'all.
Hello, Chicago! So they said we weren't going to turn out again this year, and so you tell me when I look around. But listen, women have always been about more action and less talk. So when we're here today, when we're about to hit those polls, when we're out with our own petitions because we're running for office, what we're going to do is show them that we vote and that we run, but not just that we do it, but why we do it. Because when they want to deport children and dreamers from the only home they ever know, there's one answer, and what is it? Elect more women. Elect more women is the answer that we need to change this country, where we're going. When they put together a healthcare committee to decide on our healthcare for us and our families, and it looks like a scene from The Handmaid's Tale, there's only one answer. Elect more women. And when we look at this attempt to go back to the racist policies of the past on criminal justice, there's only one answer. Elect more women. And for me, this is personal, and I say this especially to the mothers in this crowd. My son will register for the draft while this man is president. So if you want peace, the answer is elect more women. But, as she said, this is our city and this is our time. And it isn't just charity that begins at home, it's justice. So if we're going to build justice, the future is local. It's female and it's local. And the thing that I think gives me the most hope and the most inspiration is the group of young women that are coming to change this world. So I'm about to bring out a woman, Shakina Sims, who isn't just a part of Chicago Votes, hasn't just been down at the criminal justice system at 26th in California, the place where there is the most injustice, the most vulnerable people, changing that world for them. I hope one day she is standing up here as a candidate for office because the answer is elect more women. Shakina?
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for that beautiful introduction. So I've had the honor and privilege to work with an outstanding organization for almost 5 years now, and that organization is called Chicago Votes. And I would like to share a few words about Chicago Votes and how they're revolutionizing the way we include young people in our democracy. 8 miles from here, the Cook County Jail exists. It's where women in multicolored jumpsuits paint the walls as bright as the black and brown bodies that occupy them. It's where voices are silenced and opinions are deemed unworthy. These women press their palms against the concrete walls. They're searching for a pulse, looking to feel freedom once more. But it's organizations like Chicago Votes that launched the Cook County Jail Project, the CCJ Votes Project, to offer another form of freedom, electoral freedom. And in just 4 months has led 100 volunteers to Cook County to register 1,000 voters in the Cook County Jail. That is 1,000 more voices that are no longer silenced. That's 1,000 more people to elect leaders to pass policies that bend the moral arc towards fairness and equity. Because as women, we are far too familiar with individuals who make decisions about our bodies, who make decisions about our pay, who make decisions about our livelihood on behalf of us, but not for us. Through civic education and voter registration, Chicago Votes has equipped thousands of young people with the tools necessary to make informed decisions, to organize, to lead. And through Chicago Votes, I've had the honor and privilege to work with so many young high school women who lead. Many of those young young women have mothers at 26th in California who will miss the opportunity to see their daughters, ages 17 and 18, march to the polls as first-time voters in the Illinois primary. Many of those mothers will miss the opportunity to see their young women voted as president of this debate team or student government association, but there's one thing for certain, that Chicago Vote sees their value, their worth, their potential. Chicago Votes is standing on the shoulders of our ancestors and extending a hand to those whose voices have historically been excluded from our democracy. It's incredibly important to empower all, not just the ones we get to see on a daily basis, but those who are unfortunately locked away behind bars, but still have the same rights that we often take for granted. But it's very important on this day that we all rise up and help those who are incarcerated at 26 in California to join Chicago Votes in the effort to revolutionize democracy, to give voice for those who have been voiceless. It's very, very important that all of us that are here today, that are present, are very intentional on joining Chicago Votes in this effort, because 1,000 people just scratches the surface of what the CCJ Votes Project and what Chicago Votes are capable of. So it's time for us to join together and help change what democracy looks like for generations to come. Thank you so much.
Yes! Thank you, Shakina! Yes! What does democracy look like? What does democracy look like? What does democracy look like? Democracy is beautiful, y'all. All right, next up, I have somebody who brought me last year to MC this beautiful event. Ann Scholhammer, she's one of the organizers of the Women's March Chicago. Give it up, y'all, for Ann. That was a lame high five.
My name's Ann Scholhammer, and I'm a board member of the Women's March Chicago. Thank you for coming. I'd like to make a request. There's a fire lane on the east side of Congress. We want to keep that clear. So if you're in that fire lane, please take a minute to look down and move out. And safety, I want you to look around and notice the people in the yellow vest. Those are our marshals. You can turn to them for safety. Yeah, give them a hand. So, we asked you guys to come out again. We didn't quite get the weather we wanted. However, I have just been informed that we are as big as last year.
And that's because she got divorced in the 40s when it was hard to support yourself. And so I became a professional, but that didn't stop me from enduring sexual harassment and sexual discrimination like so many of us. And I told my daughter, protect yourself. And that didn't stop her from becoming a Me Too survivor. And, right? And now I have a little beautiful 4-year-old grandchild, and I don't want my little baby Kaylee to become Say vote! Vote! We're gonna hold people's feet to the fire. Say feet to the fire. And we are gonna run for office. Run for office. Thank you. It's been a privilege to help the Women's March make this a safe and terrific march like it is today. Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, everyone. I love you.
Woo! Thank you! Those are aldermen, alderwoman, alderhuman. So many identities in one. Oh yeah, I look back, I'm like, what's happening? Oh, that's still us. This is us, y'all. I love that show. All right. I want to share with you a little bit next. We've got a lot of people, a lot of women who are running for election. A lot of people who it's their first time. So many women. And we want to acknowledge who those women are. And this is according to the U.S. State of Elections. I'm going to give you a big long list. Some might call it a laundry list. Fuck laundry. This is the U.S. State of Elections list of women running for office. Robin Kelly, Marie Newman, Sol Flores, Nellie Rowland, Ann Melliker, Samina Mustafa, Amanda Howland, Kelly Mazeski, Becky Wilkins, Jennifer Zerdani, Carol Chaney, Zondena Jingen, Betsy Dirksen. Oh yes! Angel Sides, Lauren Underwood, Beth Vercolin Osmond, Amy Brill, Sherry Bustos. Yes! Wow. And you know what? I want to share with y'all. A lot of people, they want to say, well, what does it mean? Are we just supposed to vote for women and not think about the issues? And you know what? My response is very honest. No, of course not. But you know what matters is representation. You know what matters is access. You know what matters is knowledge and information. And you know what? We've been silenced for a long time. Time's up. Now we're going to get to the PowerPoint part of this march. It's a real exciting part. This is basically just a beautiful list of all the candidates, female and non-binary candidates. As you are looking at that and reviewing it, I would like to share some fun facts with you. In Illinois, women lobbied and marched and succeeded in seeing expanded access to reproductive health care. HB 40 was signed into law. Chicago passed the Pants On, Hands Off city ordinance to protect hotel workers from sexual harassment. In 2017, 5 women decided to run for lieutenant governor or governor of Illinois. Nationally, Elizabeth Warren persisted. We love you, Elizabeth Warren. Maxine Waters reclaimed her time. San Juan Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz set out to save her island. Harvey Weinstein was forced out. And also maybe a few others. Tarana Burke saw her Me Too moment amplified. Thank you. African American women voted in Doug Jones and voted out Roy Moore. Danica Rome became Virginia's first transgender lawmaker. And Vi Lyles became Charlotte, North Carolina's first African-American female mayor. Fred, how much time do we have? Say it louder, I can't hear you. Say it louder all together. Ruth Gator Ginsburg. That is not a tongue twister. That's how messed I am. That's how messed up I am from 2017. We gotta unravel. Oh. Let's say it as a group on the count of 3, right? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I love her. And I mean that in the way that a woman would love to marry a woman if she consented to marrying me. All right, and I'm gonna leave you on this. As Oprah Winfrey said, a new day is on the horizon. All right, hold on. Let me give you this. Let me give you this. Everybody, we're coming back. Now, next, we're gonna keep it moving, y'all. There are so many of you out there. I want you to look around and notice each other, because that's part of the beautiful thing of gathering. Next, I'm gonna introduce you to Ana Valencia. Oh yeah, give it up for Ana Valencia, the city of Chicago clerk.
Chicago! Are we ready to march? Are we ready to vote? Are we ready to take these shitholes out of office? I'm Ana Valencia, I'm city clerk of Chicago, and my dad's from Mexico, not a shithole country. I'm the second woman to hold this office since 1837. Let me say it again. I'm the second woman to hold this office since 1837. We have to do better. We cannot celebrate until we're celebrating the 50th woman standing in this office. Only 1 of 4 state legislators are women. Only a 5th of our Congress in D.C. are women. Only 19% of mayors in America are women. And only 13 women are on the city council of Chicago. What's at stake when we march is our policies. If we are not in the room to bring our lived perspectives and our experiences to the table, we will still be talking about sexual harassment 30 years later. So I ask, are you ready to march? Are you ready to vote? And I ask all my sisters standing here today, we must stand together and prove to the cynics that this is more than a moment, that this is a movement. And we have to vote in March in the primary, and we have to vote in 2018. Because if we don't, we will see our dreamers ripped from this nation they call home. And we will see our women in the Ford plant in our own backyard on the southeast side of Chicago taking on sexual assault and sexual harassment. Or our hotel workers with Unite Here who passed their own ordinance all alone. They were the leaders of the organizers, and 1 year saying enough is enough. I am not going to my job in a hotel to be sexually assaulted or sexually harassed. And our sisters, we have to stand with our sisters when they are saying me too and say, I believe you, and I see you, and you are valued. And this, we have to vote for our elected officials that
know our values and represent our values and look like the community that they serve. So, I say this one more time. Are we ready to march? Are we ready to vote? Are we ready to go? Let's show them Chicago. Let's show the world we can do this.
Yes, we can! 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 Woo! Yes! Y'all, I'm going to bring up our next speaker from the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. On a daily basis, she is fighting for the rights of immigrants and refugees. Selena Villanueva.
Can I get a si se puede? Don't forget, y'all, yes we can came from si se puede.
Si se puede.
Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to all the black women in the crowd. Thank you for everything that you do. For the immigrant women in the crowd, thank you for everything that you do. For the trans sisters and brothers, thank you for your lives and everything that you do. For the gender non-binary folks in the crowd, thank you for everything that you do. I'm gonna start off my speech in Spanish because I can't leave my sisters and brothers from the Latino community out. Vengo hoy a compartir palabras con ustedes que aunque estamos pasando por tiempos difíciles, en este país no se rinden, no se den por vencidas. Sé que como personas que quienes están en la Casa Blanca es difícil de no sentir el miedo, de no sentir el temor. Pero le quiero decir en este momento y en todos momentos, no están solas. Estamos en la lucha, porque aquí estamos y no nos vamos. My name is Selena Villanueva, and I come here representing the immigrant rights organization in the state of Illinois, the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. I want to tell you a little bit about a voicemail I received yesterday afternoon before I left the office. Yesterday, I received a voicemail from a man calling me to let me know how wrong I was for supporting quote-unquote illegals because of the work that I do. How I was racist for bringing up the fact that the president of this country referred to countries like Haiti and the entire continent of Africa as shitholes. Boo, yes, boo that shit. For believing that white supremacy and racism were at work when the president asked why immigrants from Norway weren't coming here as opposed to the other countries that he was talking about. See, what happened yesterday was an old white man telling me that I needed to shut up and stop talking. Well, I'm here to say that as the proud daughter of Mexican immigrant parents, that ain't never gonna happen. See, we're at the brink of a huge shift in this country. It's moments like these that are written in the history books and taught for generations to come. It's also moments like these that force us to decide who we are as a country. So I'm here today to tell you about who we are, who we can be, and who we should be. With each passing day, 122 immigrant youth lose their protections from DACA and become more vulnerable to Trump's mass deportation machine. That's 851 people each week who lose their ability to drive, to enroll in colleges and universities, to have access to in-state tuition, to basically take care of themselves and their families. Over 10,000 DACA recipients have lost their status to date. Now is the moment for action. Now is the moment
the DREAM Act, so that nearly 1 million undocumented people who would benefit are no longer at risk of detention and deportation. An entire generation faces an uncertain future, y'all, and in many cases it's life or death. The clock is ticking for millions of impacted families and communities. We need Congress to do its job and pass a clean DREAM Act, and I need your help to get it done. I need everyone here to call their members of Congress and demand that we pass a clean DREAM Act now. Ladies, this fight did not start yesterday, it didn't start last year, and it won't end tomorrow. The fight is a long struggle against oppression, against power and privilege. It's the confrontation of the worst of this country. It's the fight against racism and white supremacy. But let me tell you, we have so much to gain. This moment is where our personal choices are going to have to reflect our opinions, our values, and our beliefs. This is the moment where we must decide what side of history we're gonna be on. And let me tell you, I think we're on the right side right now. Now is the time for action. Now is the time for us to understand that we don't need no saviors. We are the leaders that we need, and we are the leaders that we deserve. We need to support women, and specifically women of color and immigrant women, because they are the leaders that we need and we deserve on every single minute of every single day. We need to fight against income inequality and against the cycle of poverty, against discrimination and against racism and white supremacy. We need to fight against misogyny, against domestic violence, against sexual assault, sexual harassment, against transphobia, homophobia, Islamophobia. We need to fight for reproductive rights, for intersectionality, for the voices of people of color, specifically those of women of color, to be told, their stories to be told and to be heard. Not only do we need to shift our politics, we need to shift our culture as a country. Because the struggle for one of us is a struggle and a fight for all of us. So I challenge you for those that are eligible to vote, to go and vote in the elections happening in March of this year and in November. And I challenge you to go further. I challenge you to keep coming out to marches, to protests, to demonstrations, to actions. I challenge you to engage in genuine relationships with people whose background are not like yours. I challenge you to get involved in campaigns to encourage young girls to think big and support them in those quests. I challenge you to support progressive women of color to run for office and to support them in their journey. I challenge us all to seek true intersectionality in this movement and in every movement. For the white women in the crowd, and there's a bunch of y'all, I challenge you to organize your own communities and to have the uncomfortable conversations with other white women and other family members who voted for Trump last year. I want you to tell them that it's time that they understand the impact that they're having on millions of lives in this country. I challenge you all to have the uncomfortable conversations about the reality that we live in, because without it, there is nowhere to go. Now is the time to be our own leaders, to create the change that we need. And I vow to you, like I vowed to the racist white guy who left me that voicemail yesterday, that until the last breath leaves my body, I will continue to fight against injustice. But sisters and brothers, I can't do it by myself. We have to fight to create a better world for all of us. And I leave you with the inspirational words of the indelible Ella Baker. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Thank you.
Sí se puede. 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 Yes. What an amazing, beautiful, motivational speech. I'm so grateful for all of your words. Now, next up, let's bring up Carrie Kiley. She is one of the Women's March Chicago board members, y'all.
Everybody, how are we doing, Chicago? So I just want to say that I am humbled to look out. I got here last night at 9:45 p.m. and there were cars driving up and down the street. And I saw about 15 semis come in and drop a bunch of stuff. And now I see hundreds of thousands of smiling faces and marchers. Chicago, you are beautiful, and I want to thank you for coming out. And most importantly, I want to encourage you to keep marching. We need to get to those polls. I also want to do a couple of shout outs. Our vendors were amazing. They started coming in at 10 o'clock last night and they were here until 5:30 a.m. So thank those guys for putting all of this up and making this possible. So you may have noticed that we've got a large area in front of the stage and we have an amazing group of volunteers and organizations that have helped make this one of the most accessible outdoor events in Chicago's history. So with that, I want to introduce Amber Smock. She's from Assisted Living and Adapt, and she's going to talk to us about why having accessible events is so important.
Hello, everybody! Let's do it with the deaf hands. Hello! Hello, everybody! I am a disability advocate, and I am a deaf woman. And throughout the year of 2017, disabled people and deaf people were at the center of the fight to resist. How many of you remember seeing footage of people with disabilities being dragged out of every office in the Senate, in the House, in Denver, in California, in Arizona, in Wisconsin, Chicago? How many of you have a disability? Show me your hands. How many of you know or love someone with a disability? Show me your hands. How many of you called a member of Congress last year because you were fighting for health care? How many of you sat in the middle of the night wondering how the hell am I going to be able to make sure I get the care I need? How many of you were scared to death? How many of you are ready to take the fight to the polls this year? Okay, I want you to know that I'm with Access Living. It's a disability rights and services organization based here in Chicago. And Chicago is the best place to be. But I'm also a member of ADAPT, the disability rights organization that goes out, rolls out when it's time to put our bodies on the line. And so just to wrap up really quick, I want to say thank you to everyone who stood with disability advocates over the last year, who will continue to fight with us. And I want you to do our chant. Our chant is, free our people! 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 Let's go! Thank you!
Thank you so much, Amber. Powerful words, and it's something that we all need to remember is that we need to lift each other up, and that means our most vulnerable communities. And people who have to fight for healthcare every single day just to survive need our help more than anything. With that, I really want to introduce one of my colleagues on the board of the Women's March Chicago, Emily Crame.
Hello, Chicago! I'm the social media lead for Women's March Chicago, as well as a board member. And I have had the pleasure to watch the call to impeach grow from a whisper to a roar. Our next speaker is fighting in 2018 to reclaim the House and leading the need to impeach. Please help me welcome Tom Steyer, founder of the Need to Impeach movement.
Wow! It is so great to be here in Chicago with so many fired up, passionate, powerful women. We all know what happened a year ago. A call went out for everyone to get together to stand up and reaffirm our values in the face of a president who wanted to attack our most basic values, most of our people, and to basically try and change this country and put us back to where we were 50 years ago. The call went out under the name of women. That was appropriate, and that movement has moved past politics into all of our culture. What we said last year is we will not stand by and lose the soul of America to a racist, to an anti-woman bigot, to someone who vilifies immigrants, and to someone who's against the LGBTQ community. And we came out and had the biggest rally in the history of America. But this year is different. This year we have to be more purposeful, because in 10 months, there are going to be 435 congressional seats up. There are going to be 33 Senate seats up. There are going to be 36 governorships up. And there are going to be 78 legislative halls up around the country. And that means that we are going to have to be organized, we are going to have to be engaged, and we are going to have to go to the polls and flip those seats with progressives. We have absolutely no choice. And in particular, it is going to be important in 10 months that we elect a lot more women, and we elect a lot more people of color. Because everyone wants to make this year complicated. A lot of different policies. This year is simple. This year is about right versus wrong. This is a question of standing up for the oldest American values, for being the patriots who say we will, in fact, not just resist your bad things, but we will insist on investing in the American people. We will insist on health care and education and food for poor kids in school. That we will insist on a woman's right to choose. The United States of America is not going to go back. And if we're organized, and if we're engaged and we go to the polls, then our vision of America will be reaffirmed. We will go forward. Someday, a tyrant will come to the United States who will oppose every single thing we believe in and try and dismantle our democracy. And someday we won't do anything. But not this day. This day, we will be organized and we will show up in record numbers just the way we did in 2017. And there will be a tidal wave of American force and American values reaffirming who we are and how we succeed together in the 21st century. So please, give me your voices and repeat after me. I believe. I believe that we. I believe that we will. I believe that we will win. 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 See you on November 6, 2018.
Woo, thank you, Tom. Give it up, y'all. What is it that you believe? I believe it too. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Man, I gotta tell you, I know we heard it before, but maybe not all of you heard it enough. But you are beautiful. And you deserve to be seen. And you deserve to have a voice. And you deserve to be represented. You deserve to be here. This is your time to be heard. Oh, look at y'all. And again, the other thing I don't know if y'all heard, there are between 200 and 300,000 people marching and gathering in Chicago. Yes! That is you! This is what democracy actually looks like. Show your signs. Show your truth. Be proud of your identity. Be who you are. We celebrate all of you. Oh, so good. All right, y'all. Now, I'm so excited about our next speaker. And she is someone who needs no introduction. You may recognize her from, I don't know, the television. What? I know. Give it up, y'all, for Monica Raymond from Chicago Fire.
Good morning. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to fucking vote. I've been playing this game with all of my friends. I'm like, what's the first sentence you're going to say after we impeach this fool? Mine is, so that happened. I am female. I am Latina. I am queer. I am their worst nightmare. And so are all of you. And that's okay. We'll be fine, because we have each other. This is by Audre Lorde. Moon marked and touched by sun, my magic is unwritten. And when the sea turns back, it will leave my shape behind. I seek no favor, untouched by blood, unrelenting as the curse of love, permanent as my errors or my pride. I do not mix love with pity, nor hate with scorn. And if you would know me, look into the entrails of Uranus when the restless oceans pound. I do not dwell within my birth, nor my divinities, who am ageless and half-grown and still seeking my sisters. Witches endow me, wear me inside their coiled claws as our mothers did mourning. I have been woman for a long time. Beware my smile. I am treacherous with old magic, and the noon's new fury with all your wide futures promised. I am woman and not white. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the cast of Hamilton.
Give it up, give it up, give it up!
We've been trying, woman and child, could make it easy, could live in denial. We saw the world end, but it keeps spinning, whether we're losing, whether we're winning. Then they start to fade, while we'll ride late and losing life. Been staying up late, 'cause we know mistakes of losing life. We won't sleep, they'll try to get us. We gon' reach out for love. We won't sleep, no, not till it's over. Even with the blurry eyes, baby, we don't compromise. I dreamed in color when I was younger, painted a picture, one hand in the other. I'm seeing shadows outside my window, but I won't close them. No, not when we know. Then they start to fade, but we're right away and feeling alive. Been staying up late, 'cause we know mistakes of losing the light. Oh, we won't sleep, they'll try to get us. We gon' reach out for love. We won't sleep, no, not till it's over. Even with the blurry eyes, baby, we don't compromise. Talking for the pride. It's not too late to realize we can be the first, not be fooled by words. Finally gonna learn how to wake up and change the world. We won't sleep, not trying to get us. We gon' reach out for love. We won't sleep, no, not till it's over. Even with the blurry eyes, baby, we don't compromise. We won't sleep, no, they'll try to get us. We gon' reach out for love. We won't sleep, no, not till it's over. Even with the blurry eyes, baby, we don't compromise. We won't sleep, no, they'll try to get us. We gon' reach out for love. We won't sleep, no, not till it's over. Even with the blurry eyes, baby, we don't compromise. Keep fighting
Yes! Give it up, y'all! Give it up for the cats of Hamilton, led by Ari Hufzer! Thank you! Man, y'all, if y'all haven't seen that show, I get it, but it's real good. It's real good. Like, it's one of those shows where you're like, I wish I could have thought of that. But I couldn't have. All right. Ha ha. Ha ha. All right, y'all. Coming up next, we've got one of the organizers of the Chicago Women's March. Someone who is my partner in crimes and chaos. Liz Radford.
Hi, everybody. Looks like there are a few folks here. Thank you for coming. We love you. Action for a Better Tomorrow. Action Illinois. SEIU. ACLU. ATU. Local 308. Boricua Activated. Center on Halstead. Chicago Area Peace Action. Chicago Foundation for Women. Chicago Votes. Chicago Women Take Action. These are just some of the organizations Women's March Chicago has been privileged to work with as we've prepared for March to the Polls. It's important to know Women's March Chicago is a little over a year old, and many of these groups have been around a lot longer doing great work in Chicago. So we thank them for welcoming and working with us. Common Cause, Cause the Effect, Chicago Federation of Labor, Democratic Party of Oak Park, DuPage Progressives for Change, ERA Alliance Group, Fierce Over 40, Fourth Ward Dems, Gathered, Indivisible, Evanston, Illinois, Oak Park, Illinois Democratic Women. Marching to the polls starts today. It doesn't stop today. Together, these organizations are working to amplify one another's actions from now to the primaries in March, the general elections in November, around voting and women in 2018. All of these groups are going to help you prepare. All of us know it's critical that women and allies get out and vote in the primary, in the general, and together these groups can keep you informed on actions going on political information, voter registration, etc. Illinois State Bar, Illinois Education Association, League of Women Voters Chicago, Libris, March for Science Chicago, March On, National Rainbow Push Coalition. Please check out our webpage for a full list of these orgs. I'm not able to say them all here, who support the march and who we support. These are the women in your communities who have put in the work. Also check out our page for a developing calendar of how you can get involved. Mujeres Latinas en Acción, Persist List, National Organization for Women, Planned Parenthood, Illinois Action, Pride Take Action, Sergeant Shriver National Center on Poverty Law, SEIU, Sierra Club, Windy City Media Group, Women and Children First Bookstore, Women's Bar Association of Illinois, Women Employed, Women United Network, YWCA Metropolitan Chicago. We thank from the bottom of our hearts these organizations for helping to make this march a success, and we look forward to working together to get out the vote. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Michelle Mbekiani Wiley, representing League of Women Voters.
Women! Will we be in the room where it happens? Because for far too long we have been wronged by this political system. Since our country's founding, our voices have been silenced, our opinions have been marginalized, and we have often been the ones who face the harshest of inequities and injustice. Ida B. Wells once stated that the way to right the wrongs in society is to turn the light of truth upon them. But today, as we shine truth on the equities of this nation through our signs, our chants, our hashtags, we must remember to truly right these wrongs. We must do more than just reflect on society's ills. Instead, we must also turn the light on ourselves and see what power we have to alter the trajectory of our nation into an arc that bends towards justice for all. Before me now is a sea of souls that have the power, real power, to change the tide of our country's turbulent and unjust policies. But after this ceremonious event, after the adrenaline subsides, we cannot leave this power here today. No, we cannot leave our power abandoned on this street pavement. We cannot leave our time here cemented as a mere memory of the time when women had the audacity to tap into their own power. No, we must take this momentum and this motivation and march on to the polls. Because there is power at the polls. Again, real power. The power at the polls can cure the ills of a racially segregated city whose symptoms plague Black and brown communities. The power at the polls can protect our reproductive rights from those who try to invade the constitutional ground made by Roe v. Wade. The power at the polls can bring a flow of economic resources to communities in this city that have experienced a systematic drought of development and economic opportunities so that all sides of Chicago can flourish. But the power of our march doesn't stop at the polls. No, our battlefield extends beyond the polling place. This pressure must persist. It must be resilient. If we want our solutions to be sustainable, our pressure must and our action must go beyond March, go beyond November, beyond 2019, and even go beyond 2020. It is not just enough to cast our own vote. No, we must mobilize the entire vote. We must mobilize it by registering people to vote. Like the League of Women Voters is doing today. Look for the women with the red balloons. They will register you to vote. We must mobilize it by protecting the vote from racially fueled voter ID laws. We must mobilize it by ensuring that our polling places are accessible to those with disabilities. We must mobilize it by educating people with criminal convictions of their right to vote in this state, regardless if they are on parole or probation. We must mobilize the vote by pushing every population to the polls because our ballots can bring change. Our ballots can bring female leadership, generating a government that actually reflects its people. Our ballots can bring a just, equitable, and welcoming society to communities that have been systematically marginalized into the corners of inequity and injustice. Our ballots can bring humanity and compassion back into our political system, cultivating a culture that recognizes the value of all people, but most importantly, our ballots can bring a life of dignity for all people. Because that is what it's all about, dignity. It does not have a political party. It does not belong to one side of the political aisle. Instead, it is the aisle, the space in between that we share. Dignity is the common ground that is worthy of our collective fight. So today, we have the power in our hands, power in our ballots, and power in our communities to right the wrongs transcribed into this nation's inequitable policies and secure dignity for all. Thank you.
Woo! Yes, thank you. Yes. Such an important reminder, y'all. It is about us, but it is about all of us. It is about you voting. It is about getting 5 other people to vote, 10 other people to vote. Drive someone to the polls. Talk to somebody about voting. Go to your family member who never leaves the recliner in their home and beg them to go to the polls and be heard. Next up, I want to bring up two more organizers of the march. We got Jackie Algie, Jessica Scheller. They're organizers of this march. They're also on the board of March On. Give it up for them.
Good afternoon. Okay, we got to do that again. Good afternoon. Woo! You should see this sea. Oh my goodness, it's an amazing, amazing sight. Woo is right. My name is Jackie Algie. Much love. And I'm excited about being here today, but I'm also excited about all of the days to come. Now, I wear a few hats. One of them is Director of External Relations for SEIU, Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, and Missouri. We are a union who fights for women and women of color, and that is why I'm on the board, proudly on the board of Women's March Chicago. And that is also why I am the board chair and president of March On. March On is an umbrella group that unites over 400 sister marches around this globe. And just like hospital workers are out here today marching for something bigger, so do our sisters from Marches and March On are marching out today and tomorrow, and we'll keep marching through to November. Operation March On Orders is our March to the Polls. It's a program that's being launched today, and it will mobilize women and others to the polls for this midterm election and beyond. This is the time. It's all about the vote. You agree? We've seen that. We saw it in Alabama when you had over 92% black women who brought the vote home, who won that election. We saw it again in Virginia, and just last week, we saw it in Wisconsin. So what that tells me is that women power is the power. Now, I'd like to, we consider ourselves a dynamic duo. This is Jessica, and Jessica's gonna give you more information on March On.
Hey, everybody! Can you hold up your signs for me? Let's see them. So today, those of you holding your signs join actions in 400 cities around the globe, in every state of this country and in every province of Canada. And today, we are repeating the message that we said last year. We said it once and we'll say it again. We are never giving up. We are never giving in. And at 300,000 strong and growing, we are never going away, Chicago! As my friend and organizing partner, Keena Collins, says, when the women of Chicago are told to sit down and be quiet, we stand up and we speak louder. Let me hear you, Chicago! March On is crowdsourcing its Operation Marching Orders and launching today an enormous technology platform where we are seeking the pulse of the Women's March movement. I encourage each of you to go to operationmarchingorders.org and fill out that poll so that we can repeat our message back to those people in office about what this movement is about and what we care about. We are no longer going to stand for the chaos and dysfunction of government shutdown, which we are currently enduring today.
So today, I want you to go to operationmarchingorders.org and take that poll so that when we begin organizing for the midterm elections, we can make sure that we put forth and support candidates that represent us. Go to the poll, take the survey. We want to hear your voice, Chicago. Come on back, Jackie.
So, let me just say this. We don't just bring the storm, we are the storm. I want you to repeat after me. Time is up. Time is up. Let's say it one more time. Time is up. Thank you. So you got me for a couple more seconds. I am so honored to introduce this next lady, a woman of power that I have respected for a very long time. It is not enough that women and women of color vote, but women and women of color run for office. Our next speaker is one of the most powerful Black women in this country, who has used her power not to rip down and destroy, but to serve, to help, and to solve the problems that we have today, not only in this city, this county, but this country and this world. I am talking about none other than our own homegrown President of the Cook County Board, Toni Preckwinkle. Please welcome her.
Good afternoon. I want to thank Jackie for that kind introduction. And more than that, I want to thank SEIU, Service Employees International Union, for the good work that they do on behalf of our lowest paid and most marginalized workers in this country. Thank you, SEIU. Last year at this time, I was heartened to see us join together to send the message that women are a force to be reckoned with. But at the same time, it was devastating to know that women had already missed our best opportunity to send our strongest message by electing a woman President of the United States. And I worried that after the first round of marches, women would go home, put the t-shirts and hats in the drawer, and continue to let men dictate our politics and pursue policies at every level of government that restricted our access to health care and opportunity. But here we are 1 year later, and I have to say I'm more encouraged today than I was then. Just this week, Time magazine featured a cover with the headline Avengers and showed headshots of 48 first-time candidates, all of them women. All of them women. Women whose faces look like ours. Women who are diverse in their race, their experience, their religion, their sexual orientation, their gender identification. According to this story and the Center for American Women in Politics, 79 women are exploring the opportunity to run for governor in this country. The number of women challenging members of the U.S. House is up 350%. And Emily's List, an organization that supports women running for office, reports that since President Trump's election, they were contacted by more than 26,000 women across the country interested in running for office. 26,000. It's one thing to be here today to remind ourselves of our collective strength. But if we don't register to vote,
register our friends and neighbors, knock on doors, support other women who run for office, and run for office ourselves, will continue to be marginalized. A final note. Right now in America, there are no black governors. I'm proud to serve as Cook County's chief executive and be able to impact the lives of so many people. But the lack of executives of color is really discouraging. But in states like Georgia, for example, we have the chance to elect the first black woman governor in the history of this country. So it's my hope that when I speak to you again next year, there will be other powerful women of color who represent just as many, if not more, Americans than I do. Thank you.
We need more women's voices in leadership. I have a personal connection to our next speaker. I was a young mother when I started working for her. I felt like I still had a lot to offer, but being home for bedtime was a top priority too. Attorney General Lisa Madigan runs one of the largest legal offices in the state. And when you work for Lisa, the contributions of working women are valued and the complexity of their lives respected. This alone is a testament to the power of women in leadership. But Lisa Madigan is not called the Hammer for nothing. She earned that name by being the biggest, baddest legal warrior princess in the state of Illinois. Her accomplishments over the last 15 years in office include being a financially responsible leader, generating over $13 billion in revenue for the state of Illinois. She's recovered over $3.2 in relief for homeowners, communities, and pension funds from the mortgage crisis. Lisa also protects the citizens and their rights by helping 43,000 victims of identity theft remove $30 million of bad debt from their credit reports and their accounts. She's educated 23,500 law enforcement officers on investigating cyber crimes. And of particular importance to us in the here and now, she was one of the state attorney generals to join the challenge on the administration's immigration ban. But of course, that's not all. She's not done yet. Lisa fights for Illinois children by arresting sexual predators, finding and arresting child pornography traders in Illinois, and shutting down predatory for-profit colleges that prey on our youth and bankrupt their futures. And last, but certainly not least, Lisa fights for women. Give it up, let's hear it. Lisa Madigan championed a law requiring Illinois colleges and universities to respond to sexual violence on campus. Illinois colleges and universities are required to address reports of sexual violence fairly and protect the rights of survivors. And Lisa is leading the nation by reforming Illinois law regarding law enforcement officers' response to sex assault crimes and training 1,500 nurses statewide to become sex assault nurse examiners. And for those of you who haven't heard, we have a little bit of a corruption problem in Illinois, and Lisa Madigan fights that too. Lisa Madigan initiated the state law enforcement investigation of Governor Rod Blagojevich and successfully prosecuted local, county, and state public officials for misconduct and corruption. Lisa Madigan has shown us the possibilities of what we can achieve when women have power. So ladies, and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Illinois' legal feminist-in-chief, defender of our rights, and champions of the citizens of Illinois, Lisa Madigan.
Just
Jessica, thank you for the campaign speech that I didn't even need. Good afternoon, women. Good afternoon, marchers. Wow, this is another awesome crowd. Who was here at the march in Chicago last year? Who was at the march in DC last year? Well, who is new to the Women's March? Well, thank you all for being here today, for standing up and not standing by, for coming together for justice, fairness, and equality. This is what democracy looks like. I have 3 things that I want you to always hold in your head and hold in your hearts. Number 1, you are powerful. There is nothing that you cannot do, and there is nothing that you would not do for your family or for someone in need. You give birth, you take care of aging relatives, you teach and you preach, you organize movements and you start businesses. You do whatever it takes to get the job done. You do everything, and you can do anything. You are powerful. Number 2, use your power for good. Tell your story, volunteer, vote, run for office, fight for justice for all. Use your power for good. Number 3, we are more powerful together. Look around. Think back. The abolitionist movement, the suffrage movement, the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement. We owe it to our great-grandmothers, our grandmothers, and our mothers to continue to fight for equality for ourselves and our daughters and our granddaughters. We cannot afford to lose the progress that we have made over the last 5 years, the last 50 years, the last 100 years. Our foremothers fought so that we would have a say in our government, in our lives, over our bodies. They gave us the vote. They gave us a voice. They gave us choice. We have decisions to make, ladies and gentlemen. Are we going to use our power? Are we going to use our power for progress? Are we going to use our power together? Because I promise that if we stay together and we use our power for progress, we can change our communities. We can change our country. We can change the world. And we all know there is a lot that needs to be changed right now. We have got to change the terrible people and policies in Washington, D.C. We have got to stay together and stay strong, brothers and sisters. So thank you for coming out to the March on Chicago today. But we have to keep this movement going. Thank you to the organizers of the March on Chicago. March on!
Let's keep it going, y'all, for our next speaker, Kim Fox, Cook County State's Attorney! Woo! Talk about a powerful woman!
Good afternoon, Chicago. Okay, ladies, now let's get in formation. It's time to get in formation to It was about fighting back against what was unknown. For me, this year is not about resistance, it's about taking power, taking it back. Frederick Douglass had a quote, "Power concedes nothing without a demand." Your showing up here is that demand. It has always been that way and it will continue to be that way. Right now is not just a moment, it's a movement. And it requires all of us to stand up and fight for our fellow woman. As an African American woman who holds the position I have, I am one of less than 1% of elected prosecutors who are women of color. And that ain't right. We have to make sure that our leadership, that our positions are represented by all walks of life, by every community, whether you're a woman, the Latina, able-bodied or otherwise. We have to make sure that we are fighting for every woman as though they are our own. So I will tell you that we must continue not to be passively by, not to accept the numbers. It is unacceptable that our courthouses, that our state houses, that our Congress do not have equal representation of women. It is unacceptable. And when I look out here today, I know that we can and we will do better. So ladies, are you ready? Are you ready? Then let's get in formation. Thank you very much. And to help us do that, I want to introduce to all of you Kiana McKinsley of Emily's List, who is breaking records of getting women to run for office. Kiana, come on up here and make it happen.
Good afternoon. A year ago, we marched together. I was right here in Chicago with all of you, still recovering from a year on the road, helping women up and down the ballot run for office across the country. Disappointed by the losses we suffered in 2016, but determined to persist, to resist, to stand with millions of my sisters across the world and say, we will fight back. And since then, we've knocked doors. We've called our senators and members of Congress. We stood up and showed up. And thanks to women, a lot of amazing things happened in 2017. We saw the first African-American woman elected as mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina. We elected the first Latinas, Asian American woman, and transgender women to the Virginia State Legislature. And we elected the first African American Lieutenant Governor of New Jersey. My organization, Emily's List, has been around for 33 years. In 1992, we were a part of what became known as the Year of the Woman, driven by the outrage women felt at Anita Hill's treatment during the Clarence Thomas hearings. That's also the year that Illinois elected Carol Moseley Braun, the nation's first African-American woman to serve in the U.S. Senate. 2018 is already being called the Year of the Woman because it's clear that women, as candidates and voters, are poised to transform our politics. At Emily's List, we're already seeing that transformation. Since the 2016 election, more than 26,000 women have come to us because they want to run for office up and down the ballot. I have the awesome privilege of working with these women every day. These brave women want to transform their communities and change the face of power by getting elected to work on issues that matter most to working families, like equal pay, a living wage, and paid sick leave, a fair justice system, access to health care, and strengthening strengthening our public schools. Together, they represent an entire future generation of women leaders. This isn't a wave. It's a sea change that you are a part of. Women are leading the fight to take back the House. We can, we must, and we will take back the House. And we have the opportunity here in Illinois to send new faces to Congress. Illinois is home to more than 1 million Latinas, but the state has never sent a Latina to Congress. We can change that when we elect Sol Flores in Illinois 4. We can send Betsy Dirksen Londrigan in Illinois 13 and Kelly Mazeski in Illinois 6. We have the opportunity to elect the first African-American woman as lieutenant governor of our great state. We can elect the second female attorney general. And we can re-elect our champion and current comptroller, Susana Mendoza. We also have a number of women running for state house, senate, and local offices throughout Illinois. We can elect a record number of women right here in Illinois on March 20th. And let me be clear, all of these women need you, your cousins, neighbors, and friends to show up on March 20th. I'm so excited to stand here with you in this moment. Every day, I am reminded that the future is still female. So thank you for resisting. Thank you for running. Thank you for voting. Now let's march to the polls and win. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, y'all, now we're gonna have a very important human who's gonna tell us about some instructions on how to be safe for when we march. We got Shawnee Smith, lead marshal of the Women's March Chicago.
Hello, family! I'm sorry, I can't hear you. We have 300,000 sisters and their allies here today. Hello, family! All right, that's more like it. 300,000 people plus. Woo! And this year, All right? Take all of your items with you. We are going to move slowly. Okay, family? Woohoo! And really quickly, I want you all to give up a lot of love for folks in the vests, these yellow vests like me. Woo! These are your safety volunteers, and they are going to guide you safely out of the park once the program concludes, all right? All right. Outside of leading with love, we want to have fun, right? Woo! So let me hear you one more time. I lead with love. All right, thank you. And when we march to the polls this year, we're gonna get it right. All right.
All right, thank you, y'all. All right, now next up, we got Claire Shingler. She is the Women's March Chicago Executive Director. The other thing I want you to know is that I know we got a lot of people. We have two epic speakers, and I say that because of the work that they have done and been doing in the movements. So stay with us, move, just be aware there's still a little bit more. All right, come on up, Claire.
Hello, Chicago! My name is Claire Shingler. I'm Executive Director of Women's March Chicago, and I am humbled to be here amongst hundreds of thousands of you today. One of the reasons I am organizing is my hope for the future. My children stand with me today. Their message is strong like yours, and we look forward to a bright future. In this future, we need strong male allies. One of them is here with us today. I have the pleasure to introduce Greg Kelly, President of SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, and Missouri. We need more allies like Greg, who represents 90,000 employees who are part of his union, the majority of whom are women. Thank you, Greg, for being with us today.
Good afternoon, sisters. Y'all can make more noise than that. Good afternoon, sisters. Good afternoon, my brothers. All right. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here. As Claire said, my name is Greg Kelly, and I'm proud to be the president of the SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and Kansas. Now, our members are predominantly women and predominantly women of color, and so I stand proudly on behalf of them, but I also stand here proudly on behalf of my mother. Y'all clap for that. Who is a black woman from Tutwiler, Mississippi, who helped me get to where I am today. And so it is indeed an honor and a pleasure as a man to stand in solidarity with my sisters. Now, our members include hospital workers, home care workers, child care workers, nursing home workers, all who struggle to get by in this rigged economy and who are being slapped in the face by unjust policies put in place largely by male politicians who do not value what has long been considered women's work. Union rights are women's rights, and women's rights are union rights. And it is the right to bargain collectively, the power to pull together for a common good that provides the best path forward and which scares the holy hell out of people like Bruce Rauner and Donald Trump. Today isn't just about living wages and working conditions and an economy for all, but it's about a just society. When it comes to immigration, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to racial justice, when it comes to environmental sanity, our union, which is largely led by women, and let me hang around them, is in the crosshairs right now precisely because we're in a place of power for women. But we ain't scared for the fight, y'all. And neither do our sisters and brothers in organized labor. Our members are out here today, and they will be out in November to tell people like Bruce Rauner and Donald Trump and Paul Ryan that you cannot continue to try and strip them of their voice and their power. So today, let's remember, we're marching today, but we're gonna vote in November. Because as we say at SEIU, when we vote and when we fight, we win. When we vote and when we fight, we win. When we vote and when we fight, we win. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Are you still with us? I have the pleasure now to introduce one of our organizing partners who has been a critical force in supporting our efforts in bringing people together on the streets of Chicago. Chicago Foundation for Women is a critical partner that we have come to at important junctures in our grassroots effort. They have supported us with insurance, with fiscal sponsorship, with support in our fundraising efforts, and we are incredibly grateful. I introduce to you Sujata, CEO of Chicago Foundation for Women.
Good afternoon. So Chicago Foundation for Women invests in basic rights and equal opportunities for all women and girls in our region. And we are proud to be a supporter of the Women's March on Chicago and a champion of today's March to the Polls. We are at a critical juncture with escalating threats to the health, safety, and security of women and girls. In our current climate, most at risk are immigrant women, women of color, and poor women. Immigrant battered women who are not seeking help even in the most dire circumstances for fear of being separated from their children due to deportations. Black mothers who are forever anxious about the safe return of their children from school or work as our city's gun violence continues to claim lives. Women are the glue holding our poorest communities together as breadwinners and caregivers. These are our nonpartisan issues affecting all of us. My liberation, our liberation, the liberation of all women is bound together. We stand here because we believe that a stronger Chicago starts with our women and girls. It starts with you. Thank you all for coming out today to make your voices heard. Together, our voices are powerful. At marches across the country today, women are speaking out against sexual harassment, assault, and abuse. To end violence against women and girls, we need to be brave and honest. We need to speak out. Today, we have one of these brave women who used her voice, showed her courage in bringing about change. Please join me in welcoming Suzette Wright, a former Ford Motor Company employee who told her story to the New York Times and made her voice heard. Suzette?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I just want to start by saying that I was here last year at the march and was here in support and never thought in a million years that I would be here today speaking to all of you. So I'm deeply humbled and grateful for the ladies who invited me here to speak with you. 2017, thank you for that. 2017 was quite a year for women. It was the year of the silence breaker. Yes! And yet for me, it was 20 years ago when I broke the silence of sexual harassment that I endured with hundreds of other women at the hostile work environment that Ford created on its factory floors here in Chicago's The Assembly Plant. I stand here today representing thousands of women still working on those factory floors, still enduring sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, and sometimes even sexual assault in order to earn a living just to keep our families fed. I am one of the women that represents thousands of women that worked long and hard physical hours that took tolls on our bodies. But I am also one of the women that represents thousands of women that endured harassment, not endured by our male counterparts, that takes a toll on your self-respect and your self-esteem. It is a high price to pay that is taxed by oppression and forced silence. However, when one woman uses her voice to speak her truth, the truth of sexual harassment, oppression, it empowers other women to speak their truths. And that's what happened this past year. With each voice that rose to speak, it not only spoke for hundreds of women, but it empowered other women to speak up and speak out and represent more and more women. In doing so, the country has come into a collective awakening of the horrific injustice sexual harassment presents to its women. And with all due respect to the media giant that I love so much, Ms. Oprah Winfrey, who said that new day is dawning, I am here to tell you and to speak for those before me and those here today that that new day is here. We must continue the momentum of this movement. We must continue the momentum of this moment that has become a movement in support of those that have felt ashamed and burdened by such things in order to keep a job. We can't let this just become a Hollywood soundbite while we continue our plight in silence. It is us, the everyday woman, that is here today using our voices for change. It is us that will collectively evoke that change. It is us to see to it that we get the equality and the justice that we deserve. It is us, the everyday woman, that I will not allow to be forgotten. But this is what I want women, and especially women still in those places of fear and silence, to know. Your vote is also your voice. And it is your vote that continues the momentum that I speak of. It is the next thing that we can and must do. With our current administration threatening the rights of so many of its American people, it is our duty for the change, the equality, and the justice that we seek to get out and march to the polls. It is imperative that we, the everyday woman from every walk of life, march to those polls and let it be known that your voice and your vote matter. It is us, the everyday woman, that will change it for all women, whether she is black, whether she is white, whether she is of Muslim faith, whether she is handicapped or in Hollywood, in factories and in the bedroom and in the boardroom, on the gymnast floor, or whether she is straight, lesbian, or transsexual. Your vote will cast a vote for all women, and no woman will ever have to ask, what about us? Thank you.
Women and allies, this has been a wonderful rally. We ask that you possibly pause and turn to the stage for our last moment. It's worth it, believe me. Please pause and turn back to the stage. Thank you. We'll march soon.
So Suzette Wright is not alone. Many of us have our own stories to tell. Some of you have shared your experiences online as part of the Me Too moment. Today, if you're willing, we're asking of you to give of yourselves once more to show how many women are impacted and that you are not alone. There are photographers here today, so if you want to share your experience but do not want to be identified, please put your head down or cover your face and you will not be photographed. The U.S. Department of Health defines sexual assault as any non-consensual, forced, or coerced sexual action or behavior. This includes rape, attempted rape, sexual harassment, and molestation. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault as defined by the United States government, please raise your hand. Look around you. Look behind you. You are not alone. Together, there is strength in our numbers. Together, we can end harassment and violence against women and girls. We can create a Chicago in which all women and girls have the opportunity to thrive in safe neighborhoods, safe schools, and safe workplaces. That starts today with all of us. Thank you.
All right, y'all, as you move, as you march, enjoy this amazing choir, the Brian Jones Choir. They're gonna lead you as you're walking, and we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you. We'll see you at the plaza. All right, take it away, Brian Jones Choir.